we've set our New Year's resolutions or our New Year's goals. We're trying to be healthier in 2022, all of those good things. But what always happens? Life happens. We have trips coming up. We have dinners. We have nights out. We have parties. All these different things that they're not making it easy for us to stick with our New Year's goals and all that we want to accomplish in 2022. So instead of letting that hinder us from reaching these goals, instead of having all these excuses like, oh my gosh, I can't take all my supplements, I'm out, or I'm traveling, I can't do X, Y, and Z, I can't get all my vegetables. Let me just help you out right there. Organifi now makes green juice powder travel packets. So I've talked about Organifi so many times on the podcast. They are my favorite sponsor, and one of my absolute favorite products that they created was the greens powder. They have 11 different superfood ingredients, and they also include adaptogens in there, which are fantastic for alleviating stress. So not only are you starting your day by keeping your body at equilibrium, you are leveled out, you're not stressed, you know that you're fighting different harsh chemicals and free radicals, and you're helping to detoxify and support your immune system by all of these antioxidants like wheatgrass and spirulina, chlorella, all of these amazing ingredients that come in the superfood. But instead of having to travel with this tub of green juice like I've been doing, I switched to the travel packets. You dump it in a little bit of water, and it's amazing if you're following my morning protocol, which is 32 ounces of room temperature water with a tiny touch of sea salt. And then I'll throw into my 32 ounces sometimes the green juice packet, and it makes everything so easy. It's sneaky to have in your purse. You can have it in your clutch. So even if you go out on the town, you have a night out, maybe you end up in someone else's bed, then you can still have your green juice powder so you know that you are starting your day right. All right, so make sure you're checking out Organifi, ORGANIFI /HTH, and you can get 20% off of all of your purchase. Again, that is Organifi.com/HTH for 20% off. Make sure you're checking out the protein, the probiotics, the green juice powder packets. They are my absolute favorite. Again, that's Organifi.com/HTH for 20% off with the code HTH at checkout. Welcome to the Hotter Than Health podcast, a plant-dominant podcast and resource for those looking to expand and elevate their health. Every Thursday, you can expect provocative and engaging topics, entertaining interviews, and some of the biggest names in health and wellness. Be prepared for tangible tips and takeaways, and to fully understand what it means to live an optimized and energized life. Hello. I'm so excited for today's episode. Finally, we have Catharine Arnston back on. You guys loved the Algae episode. We actually, you know what's wild about this is I interviewed Catharine last year, and it was episode 113. If you haven't heard that, if you have not heard that episode, make sure you listen to that one as well. I'm going to try and not overlap any of the information. Maybe she'll do a quick bio, but at the end of the day, I really just want to get some new info out there because I just feel like Algae has blown up since then. So Energybits is the company that Catharine Arnston founded, and you all absolutely loved this. I have done multiple giveaways with Energybits since that time. I have so much product in my house, and I'm obsessed, and I've been resistant to doing giveaways because I genuinely don't want to give away. I give away so much of the stuff that I get sent because I like it. It's just a good way to promote. But at the end of the day, I love Energybits so much, and I'm a hoarder, a psychopath, and have to have them in the house. I have them in different drawers throughout the kitchen, in my bathroom, and in my purse, in my suitcases. So I'm never without them. I was spoon feeding them to people after we had been drinking on New Year's Eve, and everyone was asking me, like, am I going to poop green? What is the deal with this? Is it going to make me nauseous? And I said, no, just trust me. And then everyone felt amazing the next day. I'm telling you, they are just the most amazing products. So with that being said, we have Catharine Arnston back on the podcast today. She is so full of life. She is energetic. She is vivacious. She has insane skin. She has the longest blonde hair. She's just this effervescent fairy woman who is so knowledgeable about the alkalinity of this product, and she is so passionate about making sure people understand the benefits of algae, chlorella, spirulina. We've heard all these names and all these superfoods, but Catharine really does a great job of letting us know what the product is doing, what this food is doing, and how it's not just a supplement, and how much we should be taking. What are we doing with this? And also just her story of opening up a company. She's gone through so many different iterations of this product, and I think that that's really interesting to see the back end, because what we see is the final product, we see the packaging, we see all this beautiful stuff, but she really went through hell and high water to make sure that her vision and her message was delivered in the way that she wanted it to be. And I think that's really what I appreciate so much about Catharine, is that she is a wild lady who has so much love for what she does, and it shows in the way that she speaks. I think you all will really love her. Before we move into that, make sure if you're interested in winning some of this, it's super simple this time. We're going to be giving away a couple, so chances are high that you'll win, basically. But all you need to do is screenshot that you're listening to this episode and post it on your social media. If you're listening on Spotify, there's a direct share link to your Instagram stories. Make sure you follow Energybits and the Hotter Than Health podcast. You can follow me, ElizaG_wellness as well. But make sure you follow our 2 accounts, and you just post that you're listening to this episode on your social media, and you're good to go. If you're listening anywhere else, just take a screenshot and post it, share the link. I think everybody can share links on Instagram now, which is super helpful. But yeah, just share this on your social media, on your story, or wherever you share your stuff, and I will we're going to be sending out a couple of free Energybits products, Vitality Bits, which are insane for making sure that you're eliminating toxins. It's insane for your skin health. We're going to get so into this on today's episode. I can't wait. But anyways, I wanted to remind you that Catharine Arnston has been on the podcast. It was episode 113 last year. Go check it out. We're not going to be doing a whole lot of overlap, but then also the giveaway, screenshot, post it on social media. We'll be good to go. Without further ado, let's get into today's interview and welcome Catharine back to the podcast. Welcome to Hotter Than Health.
I've been prepared.
I was listening to a speaker the other day talking about luck and how luck is just preparation meets opportunity. And
exactly.
When those two things aren't in line, people never see the preparation. Nobody sees anyone meal prepping. Nobody sees anyone being not only the accountant, the marketing person, the outreach, everything, you know.
I know. You see something that's successful and you think, well, I want that. Well, you can have that, but you have to be prepared to do the work. And I don't think anybody has any idea how much work goes into success. And at a certain point, I'm the founder, and I was like a solopreneur for so long. And then you have to transition into being a leader, which is a completely different skill set. So you're always learning. You're always, I do yoga, and like yoga is a practice, and so is life, and so is living.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why you got to do what you love.
I love that. Yeah. Cause I mean, can you imagine going to, this is just me personally. Can you imagine me going to practice, I don't know, baseball or basketball, something that requires hand-eye coordination every single day? Like I would be so screwed. I would be so screwed. Going back to what you mentioned, obviously you do yoga, you're active, you're healthy, but you have gone through a lot when you started developing the business. And I jump right into this because I hope people will go back and listen. You were in episode 113 and this is now 153. So 40 episodes later, we're going back again. I think we should start where you are right now and a little about the entrepreneurial past, but
sure. I can talk about whatever, algae, entrepreneurship, whatever you want.
Well, I like that you started off by mentioning that nobody sees the preparation. It looks like an overnight success. I was doing a little research earlier and heard that you had been on something like your 12th iteration of the packaging and the marketing and the branding. So talk to me about, just to give some perspective to listeners, when you first got the LLC and you had the first idea, what did a day in the life of yours look like 12 years ago when you were just starting? And then what does a day in the life look like now?
So, I am the founder and CEO and chief scientific officer of Energybits, and we sell algae tablets, spirulina and chlorella, that are the most nutrient dense food in the world. They are a food, they're not a supplement. It's algae is a multi-billion-dollar agricultural crop in Asia, where people like in Japan take chlorella algae every day. And by the way, they have the best longevity, lowest cancer rates, and great skin and hair. And so the problem is all this algae, 99.9% of it in the world, is grown in Asia. So outside of Asia, virtually nobody knows about it. They don't know that it's the most nutrient dense alkaline food in the world, and that if you swallow these little tiny tablets that we make them in, they're effortless nutrition. I'll turn my little backdrop up, but they're effortless. And so that was my big thing.
Mm-hmm.
My sister had breast cancer. She healed, but here's these teeny little tablets,
Mm-hmm.
and I eat them all day long. I mean, each one of these tablets has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables.
That is so wild to me. You mentioned that you ate them with similar to someone eating trail mix last time we were on the podcast, and
yeah,
I did it. I did it whenever I got off of the call with you, and I don't think I was quite prepared for the color and for. I was just.
Oh, I know. Well, they're still green.
Mm-hmm.
I eat them with macadamia nuts or pistachios. I will point out that really only the chlorella, the one we call recovery bits, tastes good with anything. The spirulina, which is the blue one we call Energybits or Beauty Bits, they're exactly the same, just different packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Spirulina is just a very chewy, earthy flavor, really hard for people to get around. So we just say swallow your spirulina or put it in a smoothie. But if you can learn to like the taste of the chlorella, which is like a soy nut or a sunflower seed, it is still green, but it's not as chewy. And when you add some sea salt or something like a nut, my favorite right now is a salt and vinegar pistachio nut. I mean, I literally eat the chlorella all day long, breakfast, lunch, and dinner snacks. It's my favorite food in the world. And anyways, I just want to point out that algae is a food. And because I found most people, a lot of illnesses, chronic illnesses, even the CDC says most chronic illnesses are due to lifestyle and, lack of proper nutrition.
Of things that I knew that I wanted to do in 2022. I knew that I wanted to sleep a little bit better and optimize my sleep hygiene. I knew that I wanted to travel, and I knew that I wanted to figure out how I can have even healthier skin. All right, so those are a couple of measurable things that I knew I wanted to work on. But at the end of the day, my focus is in nutrition and fitness and in some supplementation. And I really thought, okay, what can I do that's going to get a little bit deeper into what I want to know about my own body? There's only so much that I can do by observing and understanding. There's some things that are under the skin that I really wanted to figure out. That is exactly why I decided to partner with Insight Tracker. Insight Tracker is the ultra personalized performance system that analyzes data from your blood, DNA, lifestyle, and fitness tracker to help you optimize your body and reach your health and wellness goals. So if you're like me and you feel like you're kind of eating all the right things, you're on a good regimen, you're feeling really good, but you know that there's a little more that you can get out of your life, out of your longevity, out of your energy, for a limited time, you can get 25% off of the Insight Tracker store. So what I did was I did the DNA testing, took my blood. A phlebotomist comes to you if you're queasy with any type of needle or blood. Don't worry, they make it so simple, truly so quick and easy. They get your results back to you, and that way you know, okay, maybe I need to eat a little more of this, maybe I need a little less of this. There's going to be some surprises that come with your blood work, but you know that at the end of the day, there's only so much that you can do from looking from the outside in. Sometimes we need to work from the inside out. That's why I'm so excited for Insight Tracker to be sponsoring today's podcast. Again, you can get 25% off of the entire Insight Tracker store. Just go to insighttracker.com/hotterthanhealth. Again, that's insighttracker.com/hotterthanhealth. DM me if you have questions, and make sure you click on the links in the show notes, and you can get that discount of 25% off so that you can get to know a little bit more about what is happening inside of your body to optimize your life.
And people don't have time or the interest to cook vegetables. And lots of times, it's just fights at the dinner table with your kids or your husbands, eat your vegetables. Well, you can save all that time by just taking a couple of algae tablets every day, and your green nutrition needs are met instantly. So you can save, stop arguing with your family, and stop throwing out vegetables that go bad after a couple of days. My arugula was going yellow after 2 days.
Oh my gosh, I hate that.
I virtually eat no vegetables anymore. I get everything. Algae has 500 times more chlorophyll than, arugula. So,
and anyways, and for anyone listening who isn't watching this on YouTube, then I just have to describe it to you. You are a poreless, glowing, blonde, vivacious. It looks like you naturally, it doesn't even look like you wear makeup. It just looks like you have this
on zero. Yeah.
It is wild.
Well, particularly considering I'm 65. So,
let's going back to what you just said before I forget. I have a friend, and I think a lot of us can relate to this probably, whether it's a kid or a husband or a fiance or any partner. I have a friend, and we'll go back and forth in our group text with different recipes, and we're all thinking, oh my God, that looks so good. And she says, okay, well, does it have any vegetables in it? My fiance will not eat vegetables. And if it has anything green, anything remotely healthy, or that looks like it has an odd texture, what's the best way to hide these? If they don't drink smoothies and they don't like vegetables or anything out of the ordinary, where would you hide this? Because I'm assuming it's healthy to even hide.
Yeah. You could just, tuck them into anything. But kids with, women who have children, we say, well, you make a little happy face on their plate in the morning and tuck them inside. We have lots of moms on our team. Some of them tuck them inside raspberries. If you make it into a game for the kids, by the way, the kids love to chew them because, as you can see, your tongue turns green, and they think that's hilarious.
That's true.
And because this replaces your need for multivitamins, fish oil, magnesium, CoQ10, biotin, vegetables. I mean, seriously, you save money, save time, save arguments, never throw anything out. Don't have to carry lug heavy stuff down, from the grocery store. It's effortless nutrition, and it's all natural, unprocessed, one ingredient, vegan, keto. I mean,
it's the perfect food.
It's the perfect food. Well, and it's Mother Nature's gift to us. I mean, I'm just helping people understand it. And then I also make sure we grow it very safely and carefully, which is why we're the only algae tablet sold by doctors nationwide. It's functional medicine, not traditional medicine, functional medicine, chiropractors, and we do third-party lab tests. So I just want people to know that, the product is a godsend to the world, and in Asia they understand it, and I just want people here or everywhere else to also benefit from it. So, but I'm a perfect example of what algae can do for you.
I was taking them this morning. I take them all the time. I have them stashed in different places in my house so that I never run out. And if I do, I look like a crazy crackhead who's missing their equipment. I'm like, oh no, where are they? And then I'll message like, it's time to have another giveaway, send some. But
anyways, but I did want to let people know what it is, what we're selling and what we're doing, and why we're doing it to make a difference in the world, because there is no need for this level of chronic illness. There's no need for this concern about our immunity. There is no need for hunger. There's no need for sugar. Seriously. And yet you need to know who you can trust and where you can go for alternatives. So we're trying to be the voice of reason out there and give people something that's healthy, pure, natural, 3.5 billion years old. So it's certainly stood the test of time and science-based. So you know that we're not making any of this stuff up. I was on a radio show last night, an hour radio show hosted by a doctor, and he needed to know all the science references, and we give them to him because I've spent 12 years researching them. So back to your original question about what was it like when I first started compared to now. Well, I have to admit, it's only really in the last year, maybe even last 6 months, that I have finally started feeling comfortable with what I'm doing. And here's why. I started this, I didn't even plan to start a company. I just wanted to help my sister, who's oncologist, told her to change her diet to an alkaline diet, which turned out to be a plant-based diet. So, and because I'm an MBA, I have a 30-year corporate career. I knew nothing about nutrition, nothing about biochemistry, nothing about PubMed, NIH studies, zero, zero, zero. So but when I was wanting to learn about how to help my sister, I had to start reading stuff. And it was fascinating because I'd never been in the world of science before. So after giving her, the tips that I found, and then reading more on my own, I thought, man, I saw the science of this is powerful stuff. Now, this was 13 years ago, and nobody was talking about plant-based nutrition like they are now. So I thought, I think I feel a responsibility now that I know this to do something to get it out in the world. So I'm really crazy. I know I'm not like most people. I realize this now. So I just quit my career and I went back to school to study nutrition so I could get some kind of certification, because A, for my own comfort level, and B, so people would trust me. So I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I got a certificate in health coaching, which gave you a little bit of science, not a lot, but gave you something. And then I taught nutrition, and that's when I found out that I taught plant-based nutrition. People didn't have the time to eat vegetables, which led me to algae. But so what I want you to understand is that I got into this not to start a company, just to help my sister. And then I realized I could help more people. But then what was happening is, as I started reading about biochemistry and enzymes and digestion and mitochondria, this was like a foreign language. And it freaked me out because I thought, who do I trust? Like, because on the internet, there's lots of stuff and there's also lots of garbage. So I literally, for the first 4 years, tied myself to my computer. I was all by myself. I did not have, quote, a company. I just started researching algae. And it was frightening because I thought my family thought I'd lost it. They thought I just was having a mental breakdown. Why would I give up a 30-year corporate career? It was a good enough job. I wasn't in love with it, but it was good enough to start into a completely new area. And it's not just a new business area, it's science. And you can't mess around with that. So for the first 4 years, I was petrified about what I was doing, but I just kept going because I felt the stakes were too high. Because, I don't tell this to too many people, but the feeling I felt like at once, it's like, why me, universe? Why did you lead me to algae? Because I have no science. Pick somebody else who's got the science background. But then finally I thought, okay, well, clearly the universe wants me to do this. So I'll just keep going until someone tells me to stop. And so I just kept going, but it was frightening because I had no money. I had no team, and I was completely by myself. My family and even my sister, who I started to help, they just thought I had just lost it. Mm-hmm. So it took a long time for me to start to put the pieces together of how the body works and why the nutrients in algae are a perfect match for what the body needs, whether it's for your mental health or your digestive health or reducing inflammation or whatever it is. And I even started giving talks, 3 or 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I guess, I started giving talks to medical professionals, like at the Metabolic Health Summit and the Low Carb Summit, which is attended by scientists and practitioners who have PhDs, like multiple PhDs. And there I am up on stage, self-taught, teaching people about algae because even they didn't know about it. So I've been kind of feeling like I've been on the edge of everything forever, just holding on until I could finally be sure and confident of my knowledge. And I am now. And here's the great thing, and why I'm so happy I didn't give up, because after 12 years, I have not yet found a single document in any science library, in any research, anywhere that contradicts anything I have learned about algae. It just gets better and better and bigger and more important every day. But now I have the confidence because I've spent 12 years learning the science, teaching myself. I tell people I've got a PhD in algae, and I'm just so eager to help other people understand it. I've done the heavy lifting to understand what the mitochondrial transport chain is, to understand what's important about that, and how does algae make that important, better, so that you can live longer and have less illness. So,
and I think that it sounds like it makes it maybe not easier, but more worth it to take these big risks when you have not only the calling, but now you have the calling matched with the backbone to speak about what you want to talk about. Because so many people they might have this feeling and this rush that gives them purpose, but that's only sustainable for so long. You really have to give it backbone. So going back to what you mentioned, even in the beginning, I want to paint this picture for people. I know a little bit of this, but you said, okay, I quit my corporate job of 30 years. That kind of rocked me. You said, quit your corporate job of 30 years. I want to get intricate. Did you have savings and you were like, okay, I'm going to live off of savings while I'm researching, or I'm going to get a side job while I'm researching? What was going on in your day-to-day life that allowed you or propelled you forward while still have a roof over your head?
Well, I didn't. And this is why I know now, looking back, that there's no question this is my path, because I'm kind of like the person that was the least likely to do this. So first of all, no background in science whatsoever. And I just wanted to help my sister, and I had no savings. So, I don't tell this too often, but so I declared personal bankruptcy after the first year, because I was in foreclosure for 3 years. Every night I went to bed thinking I was going to come home. You see those movies where people, and they nail on their door, foreclosed, and I thought that was going to happen to me.
Nothing is more important than taking care of your health, because if you're not feeling your best, you can't be your best. Sambucol helps you feel your best with powerful immune support, powered by nature's superfruit, black elderberry. I love black elderberry. I have been using black elderberry supportive products for a long, long time. I've been using it as a source of vitamin C, as antioxidants, to make sure that I am boosting where I can, right? So I personally love the Sambucol original black elderberry gummies. I mentioned a couple of podcasts ago that I had taken, I think, like 4 or 5 in one day just because they taste so good. I thought, okay, maybe that's a little excessive. I don't want to run out. So I've just been doing 1 per day. A couple weeks ago, I had a little bit of a sniffle and I thought, okay, better not risk it. So I took 2 before I went to bed, woke up feeling amazing. I know it's not meant to treat, but it's definitely meant to support. And with proper nutrition and good sleep, it's just the best way to make sure that you're supporting yourself on a daily basis, right? So all of the listeners for the Hotter Than Health podcast can get 15% off of your order of just $9.99 or more at sambucolusa.com. Use the code HOTTER15 for 15% off. Again, I really love the elderberry syrup as well as the elderberry gummies. My boyfriend takes them. I've seen them all over the place now, and I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that I've been on track with this, and I feel really good about that. Again, make sure you're trying out the gummies as well. Even if you have kids, it's a great way to make sure that they're getting the support that they need, especially during the colder seasons. Again, it is code HOTTER15 at sambucolusa.com for 15% off. Again, Sambucol, SAMBUCOL, USA.com. Code HOTTER15 for 15% off at checkout.
So I applied 5 times to get my what do you call it, mortgage reapplied, fixed or reestablished or whatever. So, I mean, and there's they're almost funny stories now, but they weren't funny then.
No, that sounds, when you're in it, that sounds like the most horrifying thing in the world, because typically it's money that holds people back from pursuing that type of passion.
Yeah. I mean, my car was repossessed. I never got another car. I don't need one. I did climb out of, I still have no credit cards because you can't get one when you're bankrupt. I mean, it was 10 years ago. So now it's off my credit rating.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay.
So when I tell you that this is a labor of love, I am not kidding. So for food, I would eat my algae, thank God, and eggs. Those were the two things I ate the most for literally 2 years. And I read that Audrey Hepburn survived World War II by eating turnips, and tulip heads. And I thought, if Audrey can survive on turnips and tulip heads, I can survive on eggs and algae. And I literally did for 2 years. That's all I pretty much could afford to buy.
We need to make you personal merchandise that says turnips and tulip egg. What is a tulip egg? Am I crazy for not knowing this?
No, a tulip head, the flower of a tulip. Apparently,
a tulip head.
Yeah, apparently it's got some nutrition in it. And in fact, where I live, there's bunnies around here. And in the spring, the only flowers they eat are the tulip heads. So they'll leave all the other flowers alone.
You got everyone who works for you needs to go get a tattoo of a tulip head now.
Yeah. So and funny enough, there used to be a fast sort of a healthy healthy chain of stores called food stores called Panera. They sell soup and sandwiches, and they used to have this one store. It's a takeout restaurant called Panera Cares, and the idea was that it was to help people who didn't have any money, because this was back in 2008, I guess, and there was one of the big crashes we've had. So the idea was, if you didn't have a job, you couldn't afford it to buy their sandwiches for $12, you could pay whatever you could afford, and 25 cents or whatever. So literally, but the thing is, remember, I used to be an MBA working a corporate job. I had a big income, so I had lots of really nice clothes. So, but I didn't have any money. So I would go into the restaurant. That was the only place I could ever go. And I would have a soup and a salad, but I would always look great and have fashionable clothes, but I'd pay my 25 cents or $1, whatever it was. Finally, after about the third time of me going there, the manager came up to me and he said, we think you better start paying the retail price, because clearly, you can afford it. And it was,
can I exchange one shoe?
I was horrified. I was so embarrassed. I never went back. They don't exist anymore, but it was like, you just don't know,
these are the stories that really make the battle even more, like the victory even more sweet. And the thing is that it sounds like you're still starting to get out of that fight or flight mode.
Yeah. I've been in fight or flight literally since I started. And it's only, as I mentioned, only in the last few months, because I've been on some, bigger podcasts. People are starting to trust me. Because that was the whole thing. I thought, I don't want to beg people to listen to me, but please listen to me, because I have something for you that could change your life, could change your children's life, could change the Earth's life. And that's my commitment to what I'm doing. I mean, I really feel the pain that's out there, and I really have something that works, that's good for you.
You really do. And I have told so many people about this product, and I remember I had so many people reaching out, sending screenshots of getting the product after they heard the episode, because it's just when you can't, it's almost like Occam's razor, where the simplest solution is right in front of you, but people don't want the simple solution. They're like, what diet, what XYZ, and they want to overcomplicate things, when at the end of the day, it might be just that simple.
It's the elephant in the room. It's the oldest original life on Earth. It's been used, as I said, in Asia for 75 years. And that's the trouble. It's not sexy. So I design everything. I mean, this is the other thing. I had to teach myself package design, production design.
No, your packaging is really, really beautiful.
Yeah. And I did that so that people would love to touch it and connect with it. So because if I can get the tablets into your body, they'll know what to do. But if I can't get people to buy them, I can't help them. So
what was the first packaging like? Do you remember what the first packaging was like?
Oh yeah, in fact, I should probably have I know I have examples of it. It was ugly. It was black. It was just black, and I had the logo on it. So like, what do I know about package design, right? But And so but I was so gung ho about algae. So, I did most of, the first 5 years of trade shows with my ugly black packaging. And then we finally got into the spa industry. And fortunately, one of the spa managers, I think from Four Seasons, took me aside and she says, look, we love what you're doing. We love your passion. We think you've got a great product, but spas are white and your packaging is black. And, can you change something? And it was like an epiphany. It's like, oh my God, yes. So,
sometimes you just need that scoot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gone through, it's taken me, probably the package design and the branding. I just love beautiful things. I had a career previously in the interior design. I was a publisher of interior design magazine. So I just love beautiful things. And I love to use beauty to help people. So but it took a long time, when you're learning so much. I was learning science, I was learning package design, I was learning supply chain, I was learning production, I was learning website design. Finance, accounting.
It's like you have to learn all of that on your own.
Fast.
And fast. And I think that that's what often stops people from moving forward is they say, I don't know how to do this. Okay. We are in an age where you can at your fingertips say, I will Google everything. And I Googled how to start a podcast 4 years ago. The littlest things, all you have to do is just look it up and be open to it. And then I think that a lot of people, they look for that out. They look for the out of not knowing and not having the prior experience, the prior knowledge. And you're in the science field, the science, health, wellness with zero background of what you're doing. It's just personal passion and your own research. And obviously you have third-party testing, you have backing now, but you really had to, it sounds like you had to almost muscle through for the past.
Really? It was.
In your industry, you don't see anyone else talking about this. So who could be your mentor? Who could take you under their wing and put you in the algae group?
Yeah. Well, the trouble is there is nobody else in the entire world doing this because so many people they just keep doing what they know, and they can't step out of their own zone to consider something that's completely different. So I couldn't take investors because I knew they wouldn't be patient with me and to finally get what worked well. Because when you have anything that's working well, whether you're an Olympic gymnast, a national brand like Nike, a podcaster, an actor, you aren't perfect the first time, the second time, the third time, probably not even after the 100th time.
Not the 153rd.
With it. That's the only way that you get better is by doing it. Each time you refine whatever that moment was, and then you try another thing and you refine that, and eventually you get here's the thing: competence develops confidence.
Love that.
Competence develops confidence. But to get to the level of competence, you need to be prepared to be uncomfortable because being accomplished is a very uncomfortable thing to experience. And we do it when we're kids. You don't think twice about being uncomfortable learning how to ride a bicycle or being uncomfortable trying to be a gymnast or whatever. But once we get to a certain age, you kind of coast on your comfort level and you're not prepared to give that up. And that's why I think most startups are started by 20-year-olds because they're still in the uncomfortable, have no money, just throw me a sleeping bag, I'll be okay. And they kind of they live on that rush. When you're older, now remember, I'm 65 and most people my age are retiring. They are not starting new companies. So at first I thought what I'm doing is, I'm way out of my comfort zone here, but the stakes, like I said, were too high. And I just felt such a responsibility to keep going. But I would like to finally start enjoying the process, which is we're very close to that moment because part of the stress is the money part. But we're starting to grow and people are starting to trust us and our packaging's getting better. And we just finally added our canisters to our website yesterday. So
good.
I sort of feel like the caterpillar who's just, going into his metamorphosis. It's like, just wait, give me a little time and I'll show you, what I can be. I just, on that note, I just want to tell you, I sent my older sister a birthday card that was absolutely hilarious. It was a butterfly in a sports car, and he was being pulled over by a policeman who was checking his ID because I guess he was speeding. So the ID, the driver's license that the butterfly handed the police officer was when he was a caterpillar.
Oh, that's so funny.
And he said, well, it's not very good. I've grown up since then, kind of thing, but, and the thing was, why bother growing up? But we're all caterpillars. Like the butterfly moment can still come at any age, but you have to be okay with going through the discomfort and the metamorphosis.
I agree. And so many people are, not so many people, this is me as well, but we think once we get to a certain stage, we can reach that comfort, and then we can age, and then we can just travel or do whatever we want to do that's even more comfortable. But I think that a big key to youth is, not overexerting your stress levels, of course, but you want to, take care of yourself and your mental health. But without living in a state of constant fight or flight is to continue to learn new things, stretch your neural pathways, and be playful with it. Because even when I talked to you last, it was a year ago, you were still building this momentum, and you still had this energy. You still had you were still provocative in the way you spoke about it, because you're like, nothing touches this. Everything was still so confident. So I want to get a little more into the physical process of consuming the algae, because I think that a lot of people would think, oh, algae, they think of seaweed and they think of the kelp noodles and things like that. But with you guys, it's like in an Altoid can, basically. Yeah. And I have the travel packet, so I take, 15 at a time, just because that's what I do. How many do you take at a time? How many can people start taking at a time when you first start?
So since you mentioned about the seaweed, I'll just quickly summarize for people what we were talking about. So there's algae is everywhere, and there's two subgroups of algae. One is macroalgae and one is microalgae. Macroalgae is what you're talking about, seaweed, also known as dulse or kelp, and it's from the sea. That's why it's called seaweed. High in fiber, lots of iodine, virtually no nutrition, which you can buy a whole bag of kelp noodles, will probably be 5 calories, but it's a great way to get fiber. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about microalgae, which is microscopic, which is why it's called micro, and something like 1 million cells of microalgae could fit on the head of a pin. That's how tiny it is. Now, let's compare it to macroalgae, which is seaweed. Seaweed's only in the sea. Microalgae is everywhere. It's in the sea. It's in the rivers. It's in the lakes. It's in the soil. It's in your swimming pool, your aquarium. It is everywhere. And there are tens of thousands of strains of microalgae, tens of thousands of blue-green algae, tens of thousands of green algae. But the two that we sell, and the two that you would buy, whether it was at Target or Whole Foods, are spirulina, which is one strain of blue-green algae, and Chlorella, which is one strain of green algae. And the reason I mention that is because spirulina and Chlorella are the two that are grown as food crops in fresh water. They do not come from the ocean. And I'm going to show you a picture of a spirulina farm.
It's beautiful.
This is why it's important for people to understand that algae is food. It is not a supplement. Supplements are made with extracts in a manufacturing plant with high heat, and high heat changes the nutritional value of anything and deteriorates it actually, or makes it rancid. What makes us special is all spirulina and Chlorella is grown in fresh water. It's not from the ocean, number one. But what makes us special is that our water is triple filtered. We don't use high heat when we dry it, so the enzymes are intact. So it's a raw food. But it's so important that you understand that algae is food, number one. And so then what we do is we dry it. I don't know if you can see here. Yeah, we dry it into a powder.
Okay, so it comes out. When you pick it up out of the water, what does it look like?
It looks like the stringy stuff.
Okay.
You would, it looks like that. But then we air dry, you shoot it up into the air, and then it gets dried into a powder.
Yes.
And then we press the powder into tiny little tablets, like that. Okay. And then, and this is all grown for us in Taiwan. And here's a close-up shot of the tablet. So this is spirulina.
They are the most beautiful colors. They are so gorgeous. Oh.
It's very, very rich. So this is a darker because it has two pigments in it, blue, which is called phycocyanin, and chlorophyll. Everybody knows chlorophyll is the green pigment in plants, and chlorella is just the green pigment. And since you mentioned the beautiful blue, I want to show you something cool. So I put a couple of tablets of the spirulina in water, and look at that beautiful blue color that disperses, right? I'll tell you something important about that in a minute. And then this is chlorella, which is just chlorophyll. And so see how it clumps? I did this experiment probably 50 times until I finally had my epiphany. It's like, hey, why aren't you dispersing through the water like your brother up here, looking so gorgeous? Well, and this is backed by science. I've confirmed it. So chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment. Fat and water don't mix.
No, that's why it gets stuck in my tooth.
Yeah, and that's why it doesn't mix with, like the one up here. The blue pigment here is dispersing beautifully, but that's why the blue pigment has lots of healing benefits for your lymphatic system, your blood, all water-based processes in your body. And chlorophyll, the fat-based pigment, has amazing healing attributes at the cellular level, because your cells need healthy fats to keep them permeable so nutrients can get in and toxins can get out. And chlorophyll is one of the things that does that because it's a fat-based pigment. So, it's just the understanding of the what algae does and why it does it so differently is so fascinating. But when you're talking about dosages, so each one of those tablets I showed you before has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. And so
That's
a lot
wild.
of people, including myself, I used to eat tons of vegetables, broccoli, whatever, but I would still have gas. And I'm thinking, well, I'll just put up with it because it's good for me, right? But you don't get any of that problem from algae because, first of all, spirulina, the blue-green algae, it's technically a bacteria. It doesn't have a cellulose wall, zero fiber. This is why it's safe enough for newborns, your pets, your children, your grandparents. It's digested so quickly because there's no cellulose wall, and because all the proteins already in amino acids, and the B vitamins convert all the amino acids into energy. So it gets absorbed instantly. Chlorella does have a cellulose wall, but in fact, it's the hardest cellulose wall in the plant kingdom. So it attaches the toxins and pull them out. But that's why most people, if you've had a bad diet and you just want something simple to improve your health, your nutrition, your energy, don't want to eat any vegetables anymore, you could start with just 2 or 3 tablets a day. We think 5 or 10 is probably a good number to aim for, but you can have as many as you like because
you can't overdo it.
It's just food. We fuel 5 NHL teams, and they put 75 of the Energybits in their smoothie before a game because they need a lot of energy on the ice. So you're working with a lot of pro athletes. Yes. Still, when we first started, we actually were working with almost exclusively athletes, marathon runners, triathletes, Olympic athletes. We had so many Olympic athletes loving our products that for the Winter Sochi Olympics, I actually sent 2 of my team over to Sochi, and we had open invitations to the U.S. Olympic Village and the Canadian, because I'm Canadian, and I reached out to the president. There's probably about 50 testimonials still on our website from soccer players, football players, luge, hockey players.
Every time I talk to you or anytime I listen to anything about Algae-Bits or Energybits, I'm like antsy to go get mine. I'm so excited to go get them. And it's actually that easy. Like as soon as we hop off the phone, I will probably take 30 of them. It's just that easy. So I'm going to start giving them to my dog. He's 14 and he's just so old and his stomach is a little bit wild right now. So that would actually be great. Perfect for him. And you can hide it in smoothies. You can hide it in whatever you want. I want to also talk about, so you mentioned that it's not a supplement, it's an actual food. Do you take other supplements? And if so, what other kind of supplements do you take, and what immediate benefits can people notice from taking Energybits?
Sure. The only other ones I take are D3, because I live in Boston and we don't get a lot of sun in the wintertime. And when I travel, I take magnesium, because magnesium is great for helping, it helps you with sleep, and it helps with relaxing smooth muscle, and your colon is a smooth muscle. So if you you're traveling, you're very often constipated and whatever. So
magnesium citrate. Yeah.
Those are the only two that I take. But and D3, I definitely encourage people to take D3. There is D3 in the algae, but not enough. I really think you need to add D3. So the kind of benefits that you can experience, they're different for the different algae. So spirulina, and we have two brands, by the way. We have Energybits and Beautybits. And I'm not trying to trick anybody, but what happened was when I first started, we only had Energybits, and I noticed that women weren't buying any. And I started the company because of my sister. So my girlfriend, I said, why do you think they're not buying any? They said, well, you got to make it pink and give it a cute name. And because there's so much protein and antioxidants in spirulina, which build your skin and your hair, I thought, okay, I'll make a second brand and call it Beautybits. So they're absolutely identical, just packaged differently. I'll do whatever it takes to help make people feel comfortable. So
it's true. They do look like totally different brands. Well, not totally different brands, but they look like they're appealing to a totally different audience.
They are. And most of our spa community and beauty folks like the Beautybits and the Recovery Bits, and most of our sports or biohackers or people doing keto or intermittent fasting, like the Energybits. And so it's and here's another little side story, and I'll get back to the algae. My previous job, one of my previous careers, I've had a few, was a publisher of an interior design magazine. And I love publishing, and I loved fashion magazines. I don't really get them anymore, but I had to learn the publishing industry. And here's what I learned. You probably don't know this, but every fashion magazine, all the majors, every issue has two different covers, because they can get more money that way, because they put the exotic, sexy cover on the version that they're send to subscribers, and they put the more conservative one that needs to be more family friendly into the grocery stores. It's the same magazine, but they put different covers on it to attract different audiences. So I thought, hey, if the magazines can put two different things on the same magazine every month, why can't I do different packaging? And it's really no different than any product. You have red cars and blue cars and, white cars, and it's the same car, but they've probably, I know, obviously they've done their market research to find out which color appeals to which sex at what age group and what lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I just did it because I wanted the algae to be purchased by women, and I'm a girl, and I design everything, and this is my favorite package.
I think so too. If I were to see it, it looks like one would be sold in a maybe a triathlon store, or I don't know where, but it would definitely appeal to me if I was in a spa. And I just don't think that people are giving it enough credit for the skin. Your skin is so glowy. What do you, you're 65 years old. I have to ask this, do you get any type of treatments done, any type of work, Botox, filler, like facials? Oh my gosh.
Everything moves. I've used the same cream for 30 years as Dr. Hauschka, nothing fancy. I just slap on a little of that in the morning. I actually forgot this today. And here's why. Well, there's two things I will say. I don't go in the sun. So a lot of aging and brown spots is from sun damage. I've worn a hat for 50 years. And I do have some spots on my chest because I wasn't as, rigorous about that. So number one is definitely sun protection. And I also don't eat sugar, primarily because it is so upsetting to my stomach. I'll have stomach pain for 8 hours. Every once in a while I do, because we all crave something sweet every once in a while. Sugar is very aging. It causes what's called AGEs, activated glycolic byproducts or something. Anyways, it damages the elastin, it damages the collagen, and it's very acidic. Remember, I started this whole thing about because of the alkaline journey. You know, your skin pH is different from your stomach lining pH, but bacteria gather where this acidity is too high. And so things like sugar are very damaging internally to your collagen and externally to gathering bacteria and breakouts. So
what about oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I recently wrote I did some research, and I will send you the link to it. Because collagen has suddenly blown up. You know, there's a company called Vital Proteins. I give complete credit to for taking collagen from nowhere. They were acquired about a year ago by Nestle as a $1 billion company. So. But here's the problem. And so people are taking collagen for their skin and for their joints. Here's the couple of problems about collagen. Number one, it's an unsustainable product. It's made from crushed animal bones and tendons and skin. They boil it up with chemicals. First of all, they have to peel it off with chemicals. So it is not as pristine a product as you think. And it's not a sustainable product. And algae actually has more collagen in it than collagen powder. It has, and collagen powder is not a complete protein. It's missing tryptophan. And so if you don't have all of the the aminos your body can't make, then none of it gets absorbed as efficiently.
Is that so you're saying that chlorella has more, or algae has more collagen? Is it per ounce or per gram than?
It's per gram. Yeah.
Per gram. Okay. So similar to it being the highest amount of protein.
Yes.
It per concentrated gram. Yes. Right. Because, okay. So like in concentration, it does have more, but you would have to eat a lot more of it to maybe get 20 grams of protein.
Not necessarily. I'll have to work that through, but we broke it down by amino acids. We did an analysis, and there's some of the aminos, there's 400% more in spirulina than there is in the collagen. Plus, to get collagen utilized in your body, you need 3 other nutrients. I think it's vitamin A, zinc, and I can't remember what the other one is.
I believe you need yeah.
It's not naturally in the collagen, so they have to add it, but it's naturally in the algae. When you see, we'll send you the PowerPoint when there's these charts. I mean, I'm very proud of these charts. They took me 3 months to do the research, and then you look at a chart and you go, well, big whoopee, but it was 3 months to do that one chart because I want to explain to people. So, and I don't know anybody that, they put the collagen powder in their coffee and it turns into this lumpy, weird jelly-like stuff. And, I don't know. It's just, but the thing for me was the fact that it's unsustainable. And, we're in a situation where we need to care more for our environment. We need to care more for ourselves as well. But collagen is not the pristine, addition to your routine. It's not a pristine addition to your routine as it's made out to be. Yeah. But algae is.
I think at the end of the day, people really just are going towards it for the protein. And I think a lot of it is a placebo effect where they might be getting it, but if they believe that they're starting to feel more energy and their skin is clearing up and all these things. And I do believe in the placebo effect, but I also think that at the end of the day as well, if you are getting all of the nutrient profiles that you need, all the essential amino acids, the proteins, the micro and macronutrients, then yes, everything is going to feel healthier. You don't need to feel like you're going to supplement and cherry pick with, oh, my essential fats, oh, my carbs, oh, my proteins, it's all in one. And I think that it helps to find your balance when you're getting all your nutritional profiles filled in the beginning of the day or whenever you take the algae, then it makes the rest of the day a little bit easier because your body's not craving these crazy nutrients.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, collagen is just protein. And so if you can get all the same protein from collagen powder in algae, plus 40 other vitamins and minerals, plus the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world, algae has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula. Why wouldn't you up level to algae? Talking about chlorophyll, this is the chemical composition of chlorophyll. This is the chemical composition of your hemoglobin. Notice that they're virtually identical. Yeah, that's because they are. The only difference is in chlorophyll, it's a magnesium atom in the middle, and in your blood, It's an iron, and iron is what carries oxygen. Chlorophyll builds your blood. Virtually nobody has enough chlorophyll in them anymore because our soils are so damaged, our plants are so weak. There's no minerals in the soil for the plants to pull up, and our ozone layers are damaged. Everything's got more sugar than nutrients in it. We can't get chlorophyll in a concentrated place anymore. It just doesn't exist. That's why your arugula goes yellow after about 3 days, because it didn't have enough chlorophyll to start off with. Algae has 500 times more chlorophyll than arugula. We did the analysis from the study done on the Linus Pauling Institute, and 1,000 times more than Chinese greens, and 25 times more than even liquid chlorophyll, which has had a big moment on TikTok recently. So, but again, why would you get liquid chlorophyll when you can get more chlorophyll from algae, plus protein, 40 vitamins and minerals, all these other goodies that aren't just not in chlorophyll.
What about you? I want to know more about you in last couple questions. But when you were younger, were you still this curious, and were you still this passionate and driven, or did this develop over time as a skill? Was it something that you were born with and then you kind of had to just channel and harness into whatever job you had at the time?
Yeah. I've always been very curious and very independent. Hardly when I was younger, my father left our family, and so I had 2 sisters, and we were kind of left on our own, and so we kind of parented ourselves. So I'm used to trying to figure out how to get what I need on my own without any supervision. So I'm Canadian. And so, I had 3 jobs to put myself through school, and all my friends were wealthy. And when they graduated, they all got a gift of 3-month travel through Europe. Well, I didn't have that luxury. So I took 4 jobs and worked for 8 months. And then I got myself on a 1-year travel through Europe on my own. I did a student work exchange. So,
you figured it out.
Yes, I've always been this way, and I've always been different than my family or any of my friends. I've always tried to be like, it's not fun, really. I'll be honest with you, being different. And because I was always I always wanted to know why, and nobody else was interested, it seemed, in the why. When I was in high school, I used to I lived near Toronto, which was a big city. I would find conferences that were going on, and I would sneak in. I mean, other kids would sneak into movies. I would sneak into conferences. Like, what's that about?
I love that.
So I'm a very why kind of person. That's why when I look back, and maybe in a few years when algae is on every single store, in the country, I'll be able to feel that I did my job, that I have a soul promise. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but I made a soul promise I would bring algae to the world, and I am not going to disappoint the universe. So, but I would be happy when that happens, so I can relax a little bit, because somebody had to do it. And for whatever reason, it seems to be on my shoulders. But I'm learning so much and meeting such great people like you in the process. So it all works out, but I have always been this way, but I've never been able to embrace my uniqueness as much as I do now. And I no longer apologize for being different. I won't say I'm celebrating it, but I'm comfortable with it.
You lean into it. Well, I think that I love what you just said. You made a soul promise. If we could all, I don't think it's luck, but I do think, you were in such an uncomfortable situation where your best friend, your sister was, she was diagnosed with cancer. And so you were put into this, even though it wasn't directly, you were by proxy in an uncomfortable situation, and you had to figure it out. And you decided you could have either panicked and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this happens so close to home. It might happen to me. I'm going to stay as safe as I can, make money in my job. Or you could have leaned into your actual innate authenticity and leaned into something more curious. So I think that the whole world is better for you having leaned into that. And that's amazing.
Very kind of you to say that.
Well,
I feel very lucky that I have found something that brings me so much joy. I had no idea that helping people be healthy and be nourished, and doing it with something that allows me to show my creative side would be so rewarding. Another sort of side story is my older sister is an artist. She studied architecture, but she's an amazing, accomplished artist. And so when we were growing up, it's like, well, she chose the artistic route. I guess I have to do business, but
Yeah.
Because what else is left, right? That's a child's brain. Well, if you do that, I guess I have to do that. But I'm now being able to integrate my love for the beautiful things, and but not for boasting purposes, for the purpose of good, and yet still do good. So I'm in a very lucky place. I just want to grow a bit more and be able to do more, but it's happening, and it's sort of like I've had an out of body experience for 11 years, and now I'm finally getting, it's like, wow, it's actually, this is real.
Yeah, it is. And you've built it, and you are a living, breathing testimony for what algae can do and provide. And that's what it's really doing, is it's providing, it's really giving a lot. And it is life-giving. And I just appreciate all that you're doing. And I'm so excited. I talked to Erin, and we're doing a giveaway with some of the tablets. So so we are going to do a giveaway. Make sure you screenshot however you're listening to the podcast, follow Energybits, follow Hotter Than Health podcast. And when you post this on your social media, on your story, when you post this on your social media story, I will see it. We'll get a notification. I'm going to screenshot it, collect it, and we're going to send out a couple packages. So don't be scared to enter more than once. I'm super excited for that. But is there anything else that you want people to know about 2022 moving forward this year? What would you like to leave people with?
Well, just that I know change is very scary. And one of the other reasons I like algae is it makes it so you don't actually even have to change anything. Just add this to your routine. And then later on, if you want to make a change, then you're already set up. You've got some good nutrition and you're feeling better about yourself, because self-care and self-love is not selfish. It's important. You've got to really embrace yourself and your uniqueness. And that was part of my problem. For so many years, I tried to be somebody else, and I'm quite happy being me now. So, but you can only discover who you are in moments of quiet and reflection. So you asked earlier about who my mentor was, and my mentor is Mother Nature, and I just follow her, and nothing happens overnight with Mother Nature. I mean, occasionally a storm, but plants growing, seasons changing, and we're part of nature. So just be patient with yourself, embrace yourself, love yourself, and try to get out in nature as much as you can, because it's very soothing. And algae is from nature. It was the very first life on Earth, and so it's also very soothing from the inside. So
it does have this appeal that is grounding and soothing and almost maternal. When you think about just the deep colors, the depth of the oceans, all these different things, it's symbolic of a lot of that sage wisdom. It's really beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Catharine. I can't wait to someday meet you in person.
Oh, and we have a discount code. I totally forgot. So come and visit us at energybits.com. And we have a discount code when you come to our website, Eliza G, all one word, no space between Eliza and G. It works on everything all the time. So we have bags and boxes, and our canisters are on there now. And you can also buy just single servings on Amazon if you want. But the discount code Eliza G is only on the energybits.com website.
Is it Eliza G or Eliza G15?
Just Eliza G.
Oh, nice.
Because they get 20% off.
Even better. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I completely forgot about that one. I will be using this one for sure. And I'll put this in the show notes for everybody. But Catharine, thank you so much. And
thank you. Great to have you on again. All right. We'll have an annual.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Make sure you enter into the giveaway. All you have to do is take a screenshot of listening to the episode at any point. If you're on Spotify, super easy to just click share and it goes straight to your Instagram stories. But follow Hotter Than Health podcast as well as Energybits. Post that story to your social and you'll be entered in to win some cool products of the Vitality Bits. And I know you're absolutely going to love them. If you want to hear more about this, listen to episode 113 for a little bit more info on Catharine and the business. And again, rate us 5 stars. It is the greatest way to show your support for the podcast. Write us a review on iTunes, share, like, subscribe, all those good things. It means the world. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week.